asleep on the windowsill, and she rolled right over and fell down and landed on top of the wireless box and disconnected me. All right, where were we? Ah, yes, bear stories. Yeah. Yeah, she looked a little embarrassed. And Princess Poofty. We've got Mr. Bubba and Princess Poofty. There you are. I've been hearing him chuffing out there. I knew he was coming back. And he's not too bad. But ever since I've been hearing stories my whole life about my dad taking that grizzly bear that charged him in Alaska when he was in the service. And I guess this is my homage to the old man. See if we can aggravate this fella, get him to charge me. Is that a second one? No. That is the King of Kings. Not even fooling around. That is the King of Kings right there. Oh, sure, now you're going to charge me? Here he comes. Come on. Do this thing. Oh, he passed me. You bastard. Come on, turn back around. Damn it. Yeah, and he kept on going too. But damn it. So he passed me so I couldn't get the shot off. Let's go see this fella. I think this one's going to be worth picking up. Normally I don't go hot over in this area because there's a lot of good hunting going up the river here, but gotta say he's one of the better ones I've seen in a while. Using the lever action 30-06, just like I do in real life. My 300 Savage and 30-06, they're my go-to guns. Of course, I didn't mark him, and I'll lose track where in the Sam hell he is over here. May have to step back across, see if I can figure out where the Sam hell he is. Those are some decent tracks too. I think he's actually farther up the river than I thought he was. If I can spot him out there. There he is. All right. Yeah, he was a bit farther up than I thought. See what we got here. And not as brilliant up close as he looked at a distance, but definitely respectable. Definitely respectable. Nice clean shot right through both lungs. What do we got? He's a 338. I can live with that. Certainly nothing going to go up on the records for it, but get our trophy shot here. A little bit of family tradition. When we took an elk, we always stood his horns. Of course, we got a little bit of a hill here, so we might not be able to stand them. There we go. That way you can get a sense of the size of his of his rack. Now let's get down here so we can see the animal himself. There we go. I think I can live with that. And I'm pretty sure I got bigger in my lodge, so I think I'm gonna sell them for the GMs. Oh, they got a carcass out there. Kind of surprised he was running this close to a carcass. Must not have any wolves around it. But yeah, that grizzly diverted at the last second, so I couldn't get the shot off. Because when they're that close, you just can't spin that fast with the bow in your hand. But maybe we'll get a chance to get charged farther up. What time we got here? 8:30. Got about 30 in-game minutes before the mule deer start napping. They'll start bedding down and taking brief naps, get up and move. And so from about 9 to about 10, usually you won't hear as many bucks call just because they're not as active. I think I am gonna stop at my trapper tent for just a moment. Make sure I've got some camping supplies so that if I want to, I can make a jump. Been thinking about going up to the narrow gauge and looking for a bighorn. Yeah, I've only got one camping supply. Ammo. Scopes. They all here. My chat is right over the top of it, and I'm having trouble seeing here. Weapon scopes. Yeah, I'm having trouble seeing, so I'm not gonna fiddle with it. I guess I'm on foot. So as we go up, there's a curve in the river, and just look at the map here. I've got my two-man tree stand here on this pond. That's where we started the hunt. And we took an elk, we tracked him across, and then we ended up hearing bucks on the second pond over here. So of course we moved up over there, took a couple of bucks, and then we've circled back around to my tent. We're going to be going up the river around to where my next stand is up here. And as we get up here in the curvature of the river right here, this is a really, really excellent spot for elk. When we get a little farther up and we get more up in this area, it's real good for mule deer. And there's grizzly all along here. And once we get up where the lake is here, this is a real serious grizzly hotspot up in this area here, all along the lake. So we certainly got lots of opportunity to pick up animals. We got the rain, so I'm just gonna walk till I hit the woods up here. Oh, sounds like my friend is still in the neighborhood. Where is he? In the woods off that way, huh? He wasn't a bad-looking bear. He was about mid-size. Last night I took a really nice blonde male blonde grizzly that just, in fact, along the river here as I was going, so. All right, we'll get back to moving with a little bit of caution here. 14 minutes left on our scent suppressor. So Fast D5, I don't know if you're still with us or not. Are you a rifle fella or are you a bow hunter? You mostly about hunting waterfowl? What you do? You got many hours into the game. I'm curious what your particular cup of tea is. When I got disconnected, Fast D might have went his way. Since we fired the rifle in this neighborhood, I'm moving along at a fair clip until I get a little farther down the line here where we're going to be out of the spook radius. And we'll start to run with a little more caution here. Yeah, Fast D must have gone on his way. I think she's got 14,000 hours in the game. I take that with a grain of salt. All right. There is no way that elk picked us up from all the way over here. So there's probably wolves up the bank a ways. So we just had an elk that went up the hill there. And he was at a dead run. And like I say, that's 250 meters out. There's absolutely no way he sensed me at this distance working at a crouch in camouflage. So there's probably wolves on the opposite bank. Oh, there's a buck. Where's he? He's at just the right spot. Slip across the field here to the next group of trees. We'll see if we can call him in. A lot of times there's grizzlies up on that ridge. Not seeing any sign of anybody up there at this point. Keep an eye out for that elk. Like to get a really nice mule deer. Haven't really come across any monstrous ones in quite a while. My friend Hawkeye M, when I very first set that double stand up down on the pond, our very first time hunting there together, he took a hell of a nice mule deer out of there. believe it was a 185 or a 186, but it was just before they gave us the ability to do trophies. It was like a week later they gave us trophies. We were both heartbroken. I had gotten albino elk, and he had gotten that beautiful mule deer, and neither one of us could put him in our lodges. All right. Yep. So they're all in the same general neighborhood. We're going to move up real slow and easy here. This opens up into open field again, just a short ways up. And we should be able to get in a position to draw them to us. Take our time, take it real easy. Oh, here went our mule deer tracking skill. I'm level 11 now, which is not bad. Got a long way to go, but it's at least enough to get the job done. All right, let's check our camo in this area here, see if we're hot or not. Yeah, we're good here. So I think what I'm going to do is slip up just past this tree and set a patch. See if we can pull that buck down to a range we can take him with the bow. Because they should be in that field that's just ahead. Yep, as a matter of fact, there they are. See if we can catch them through the grass, get a look at them. There's the doe. He must, oh, there he is. Oh, now he's not a bad looking fella. Let's see if we can get the spot on him. If he's a real monarch of the forest, we may go hot. All right, well, let's set the patch, see if we can pull him this way. Get some scent down. And I'm actually going to go prone before I back off, just in case he tops that hill. Just a bit more here. Nope, he spotted me. That's all right. I figured that as close as I was, there was a real chance I wasn't going to be able to get to a shooting position before he spotted me. I'm going to let him run that out a little bit, because we're going to be working up the river, and odds are we'll run into him again. I think any of you guys who have watched me play know I'm not what you'd consider greedy when it comes to this stuff. I love every minute I'm out here. Now we'll get a read on him. He'll have dropped a track somewhere right here. We'll see if we've got a halfway decent animal or not. Just scope, see if we spot any of them out there. Grizz up the hill somewhere. Female. Up on the road. Yeah, that fella looked alright. It looked like he'd have scored a bit higher than that last one we took. Well, body-wise, he actually seemed smaller than that last one, but his rack looked better. That's the doe. So it looks like they jetted up the hill here. Alrighty, well, we'll move on. I figured there was a pretty good chance that as poor as the camouflage conditions were, that I'd get spotted, but it was worth a try. We haven't gotten to the good spot yet. Once we get up around the curve of the river here, usually this is some pretty dandy elk territory up here. This time in the morning, the mule deer will start bedding down. Yep, so that was her inbound track. Sounds like we got a carcass up the hill. You can hear the crows gathered on the carcass. See if we spot anything. Pause because I heard something moving around, but I think I also heard him run. A little tough to stay in camouflage in this area. Sounded like they were up over here, whatever it was. Oh, yeah, there we got a track. We'll see what was up here. We've got a male elk, so this side of the river up here at the curve is still good. He's right up there. In fact, we're in just the right spot here. We can ease up and get a decent view of the river. I don't know why I suddenly went absolutely ultra lag here. What in the Sam hell is going on? I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but I'm just moving at a snail's pace here. This is really weird. Huh. Yeah, I don't know, Necros, but all of a sudden my frame rate just absolutely bottomed out here. So I don't know if I'm having issues with connection to the server or what. Alright, we've got a really nice overwatch right here. Let's see if we can spot him down there. I think trees are going to be a problem, but yeah, look how slow we're moving. I don't know what in the world in slow motion. And I'm getting a flicker to my screen too. And there, all of a sudden now, everything's sorted back out again. Now, I'm going to see if I can work my way down through these trees here, keep at least some semblance of camouflage. But the one we heard call, he came right down through here. We've got his tracks here. Like I said, right here where the arc in the river is, has always been really good for elk. Now let's see if we can get back down towards the shore. Maybe get eyes on him. Still waiting on my monster elk, still waiting on my monster mule deer. Just a little farther up the river is where he called from. Got a lot of tracks here. So it's probably a group of several females with one or two males with them. But yeah, he came right through here. Been taking his time because it was a solid 15 minutes real time when he came through. So he's just moseying around feeding. Ah, he's crossed to this side. In fact, he may be right up there. Yep, there he is. He's not bad. 125 to 315. The last one we took is actually quite a bit better than him. He certainly wants me to poke a hole in him, the way he's standing up there. And stuck on a tree. He's not bad. Certainly not what I am hoping for. If I was going to shoot him from this side, I'd shoot him just to the right of his tail. When it faced away like that. He is certainly bound and determined that he is just going to stand there and wait for me to shoot him. I think we'll leave him be. He's a good-looking feller, but I'd rather not go hot in this area if I can help it. If I can get to a little bit better position and call him in for a bow shot, I'll do that, but I don't want to go popping off that 30-06 because where we are in the curve in the river, the spook radius really affects a big area because of the curvature in the river, so. Mule deer doe out there. Yeah, we're right at the heart of the curve here. I just really hate to make a bunch of noise in this area. Some of the people I hunt with right now, they'd be chewing a limb off. They couldn't let that elk go by. Their life depended on it. She is close by. A lot of open patches here. That's why I'm belly crawling. Because there's no way I'd come through here at a crouch without getting spotted by them up the hill, and it's just better for me to slip through. And bear tracks. In fact, some pretty alright bear tracks. They're of a fairly respectable size. We may have a big old male in the neighborhood here. I was hoping he'd give us another bugle. Up there in that area up there, and I could probably set a patch and call and draw him down into bow range. But for me, it's not about killing 1,000 animals. It's about having fun. It's about taking the right animal. And even though we could add one to our hit list, it's really not my focus. There, Mr. Bear. Yep, it's a female. And she crossed the river. She's on the other side, huh? So that's the one that laid this track. So she's probably pretty all right. I think we'll let that elk go. I think we'll ease our way down to the river. We'll see if we can get eyes on this bruin. See if she might be something special, you know. But I still haven't had my bear charge. Yeah, I don't see any sign of her out there. Alright, well, we're going to continue on up the river here. We've got some mighty fine elk territory and mule deer territory ahead of us here, so we may still spot our monster. Anybody out there? We got another carcass up here, so that kind of thins things down, unfortunately. Another female. Oh, or is that same female? She's coming right down to the river now. Started making something and you're blaming me. Doubt we're gonna be able to see her through there. Pretty open here to move down to the riverside. And I'm gonna do it. Like I say, if it ends up being a big old blonde grizzly or something special, I'd kick myself in the behind if I miss the opportunity. Right out. Yeah, she must be just far enough around the curve that we can't see past the brush. That's a shame. But I don't want to backtrack a bunch. .34, so we're not going to have much activity from the mule deer right now. They move for a little while, then they kind of settle into a spot. Move for a little while, settle into a spot. Usually you'll find from 9 to about 11 that you don't get anywhere near as many mule deer calls. That's that buck that we bumped into earlier. there they are. So we've got a carcass just ahead. So we might have some wolves in the neighborhood. Don't have any firearms on me that are considered ethical for wolves. I don't tend to kill wolves anyway, just because I've got kind of a soft spot in my head for them. That's Queen Anne's lace. I'm gonna just travel this low spot here. It's an easy way to keep out of sight. Take a look at this carcass real quick. See if there's any wolf tracks around it. May have just heard a wolf chuff. Yep, I don't know if you guys heard that or not. Just kind of a little roof. Probably that doe. Yep. Right. Leave her be. But yeah, I'm hearing some very low-key wolf sounds occasionally now. Sounds like they're up the hill. I don't know if you hear that or not. That's the sound of a couple of them playing together. I don't know if you heard him that time. So it sounds like we got two of them that are playing tag. It is kind of cool if you happen to get in the right spot and you're able to observe a pack. They actually do have play behavior and all of that. They did a pretty good job on them. They started out being a little bit too big, but they adjusted the size of the model, got them down to something more appropriate, and gave them some fairly all right behavior. Back there getting closer. Too bad we're in the position where we are. Oh, by golly, I think they're right up there. Let's see. No, we've got a buck up there, but I'm hearing wolves right off in that direction. The buck's not very big. He's got a pretty small rack. He's just right off over there. I doubt I've got decent camo here. Oh, by golly, I do. That's a heck of a surprise. too open. Might be able to get up to a spot where we can work him. Kind of surprised he's so calm with the wolves so close by. Now let's put the spot on him, see what we see here. All right, there's the doe. There he is, I think. Yeah, 40 to 135. Yeah, maybe we can spot the wolves now. I say, I know people, they'd be chewing a limb off. They can't let an animal walk by. To me, it's about the experience of being in the Rockies. I love just seeing the animals, enjoying the hunt. So I could take him, no problem at all. Pull out the lever action and drop him on the spot, but that's not what this is about for me. He's eased off. I think I should be able to slip along now without spooking him. Kind of hoping to spot those wolves. Show you guys some wolves playing, but I think they're up over that little ridge line there, and I think if I got close enough to get eyes on him, I'd probably spook him. But I was hoping to show you guys the play behavior, because it is pretty well done. It's neat. Because that's what that kind of barking behavior is. That's them chasing each other around and having some fun. Yeah, I'm just not seeing them though. Alright, well, let's go ahead and move on. We've spent enough time here. We're not going to take that buck, and I don't think we're going to get close enough to the wolves to see him play, so we'll just keep working our way down river. Or more accurately, upriver. Oh, now, what do we got there? Now, that's the buck I've been looking for right there. I'm going to see if I can get positioned and go hot. Going to be hard getting a prone shot from here, but that's the feller. That's right. Oh, and there's the grizzly right behind him. And there was something else behind that brush there, but I'm not sure what it was. That's more the kind of fella I've been waiting on. Seeing if I'd have gone hot and taken a shot on that smaller buck, it'd have run him off. I'd have never had the opportunity. All right, well, let's go see what we got here. I say for me, it's about the enjoyment of the hunt and finding the right animal. I think we'll just stand right up now. I don't think we're going to worry about crouching. I'm happy. That is, even if he's not all that magnificent, in terms of his score. He's the kind of fellow I'd like to see on the wall in my lodge. His horn development is really an excellent example of the species. And that's usually what I'm going for in my lodges. I want a good, strong example of a prime animal, you know. I've still got to put my blonde grizzly I got last night in my lodge. That was, you know, it's kind of a shame. That was a big grizzly. That grizzly that was back there and ran when we shot, that was actually one of the bigger grizzlies I've seen in a while. And then there was I think it was a real small grizzly that was behind the red osier dogwood. This is red osier dogwood here, this red stuff. Yeah, that's much more the kind of fella I was looking for. He's got some real good development on his horns. Let's see what he scores. .182. There you go. That's my guy. That is the Buckzilla I've been waiting for right there. Body, shoulder blade, right lung, perfect pocket shot. 100% harvest value. I can be quite very happy with this fella. Beautiful heart lung shot. Now that that brush is out of the way, we can really see his horn development. I am tickled pink. All right, well, let's get a rifle out. I think we'll go with reverent. This fella is definitely one worth being reverent. Swing the camera around here. Get the light on. What do we got walking up on us here? I don't know if you can hear him or not. We got something approaching. We're invisible when we're in this photo mode, so you'll have animals that literally walk right by you. I was taking a picture with an elk back when I very first started playing. I had just gotten my membership back because it was pay membership back at that time, and I had got this little pronghorn elk. He was just a little bitty fella, but I was so proud, and I was all posed up, trying to get him adjusted, wrestling with the posing, and I had just this huge elk literally walk right behind me. Oh, get that big old rack up there. There you go. Where the heck is he? Sounds like he's right on top of us, wherever he is. Trying to get the head and horns up, and it keeps, because of the weight of the horns. There he is. He's across the way. It's that Grizz, as a matter of fact. Oh, come on. This is mighty tough because the horns have weight, and so they do affect. See if I can get it. Come on. Because I think this is my new personal best for these guys. Come on. Get your head where I can. There you go. He's up. Good enough. See if we can get the shot. There we are. That demonstrates his quality. Good looking fella. Let's do it. Absolutely accept the shot. He is going in the lodge. We're in taxidermy him. Let's see if that Grizz is still over there. think the water's too deep for him to charge. I am tickled. That is precisely the kind of animal I was trying to get today. I think he's behind that little rise. Oh, wait a minute. Is that him right there? Let's see if we can get the spot on him. It's bare butt. Shot him right in his bare butt. I think I can cross right over there. Now we got a much better chance that he'll charge me. Pick up his track here. Should be where I hit him, right up over here. Not sure. Should be our guy. Yeah, fleeing. Interesting that there's no blood. I wonder if I got the right track here or not. Because there were several of them that moved through here while we were here, so this is roaming. There we go. And it's going to show body and intestines. But I shot him in the behind like that because now I'm going to push him. I really doubt he turned back. Try and check this way. We're going to push him, see if he'll charge me. Alright, so it looks like he come up the hill and turned and went down. Yeah, so it looks like he turned, went uphill here, turned around, came back down again, and then came down here. So when you got that many tracks together, of course, it can be a little bit of a pain in the behind to get them sorted out. Yeah, he's still fleeing. He'll probably stick to the woods, but maybe he busted out. I guess we'll just have to find out. When it's sunny like this in this tall grass, it can be really hard to pick up the track. quite a tangle here. Got blood. Got his tracks going in that direction. Got the hillside track that's actually facing downhill. Got that one out there. I guess I'm gonna check uphill. See if maybe he did break this way. See, but that's roaming. I really wouldn't expect him to be back to roaming this quickly. So I think that's one of his earlier tracks. We'll work the high side so we can make sure we don't miss anything up top here, but there we go. Check this, make sure. Yeah, that's going uphill. And there's blood, so we're back on him. I think that might be him right out there. So it looks like I may not get my charge opportunity after all. Darn it. I want to get charged by a grizzly. Absolutely. There's nothing wakes me up more than have one of these guys come straight in, and when you draw the bow, it just absolutely fills the screen, you know. His head and shoulders just absolutely fill the screen, and you got to make the shot or you're going to get run down. It's just as simple as that. That's why I was disappointed when that one ran by me to the left. All of a sudden we've got another big lag spike going on here. But we should have punched right through his hindquarters, right through his liver. Kind of hard to see him in there. Let's see what we got. Nope, never made it to the liver. He's a 15. He's common. Actually, it's a female. Let's see if we can get it drawn out here into the open. But yeah, I don't know what's up with these sudden lag spikes. I mean, it's just slow motion. There we go. The limbs are all tangled up. There we go. And now suddenly the lag is gone. See if we can get its head lifted up a little bit. Nope. And it's going to be the hillside nonsense. I hate this crap. It's the only part of the photo process that really is a pain is when you are on a hillside. I guess this is just going to have to do. And we're just going to sell it. There we go. All right, Will. Let's see, where are we on this little journey of ours? We got the rain going, which means we can move with a little bit of alacrity here, because it'll help cover our noise and our scent. Coming up on 10:30, huh? All right. Well, when I get up to the road here, I'm just going to take a knee. I've got to step away for just a moment here. So I'm just going to take a knee, and I'll be back in just a matter of a moment or two. Got to fill my coffee cup. Alrighty, we are ready to rock and roll. It should have given things enough time to calm down after sending live rounds downrange twice in a row like that. And I think it's time to push on. Our ultimate goal here, of course, is to make it to this single tree stand. Now, the biggest elk I've taken on this map, I took off the hillside that's right on the opposite side of the pond from my tree stand there. So that's why I'll usually take the time and go on up there and sit it for a few minutes. Let's head back over across the river and keep on moving. Of course, I've pretty much hit all my goals for the day. Picked up a nice elk, got a grizzly, and am very, very pleased with that mule deer, that's for sure. That's the one I've been waiting on for a while. Trying to decide if once I clear this hunt, if I'm gonna start another map and do a little more hunting or play something different. I'm doing graphics work for a mod for Vintage Story. It's the immersion mod by a heck of a nice guy and a pretty solid crew of people. And I do have to work on some of that stuff today. Find a spot to cross here. I think there's one a little farther down, and it's not too bad working this side. We could bump into something along the way. I've been thinking about a hop up to the narrow gauge to see about some bighorn. Yeah, we can cross here. Haven't hunted bighorn and haven't hunted ptarmigan in quite a while here on the map. Still can't say as I'm a big fan of hunting a ptarmigan. Unlike a lot of other maps, the ptarmigan on this map just blend in so perfectly with the background that you can literally be standing on top of them, you can't see them. So it's a pretty serious challenge. But still haven't gotten my grizzly charge. Oh, got another muley. He's up the riverbank. Quite a ways up the riverbank, as a matter of fact. We're going to ease our way up the hill here. This is awfully open for the camo that we're wearing. Probably about due for a scent suppressor. Yep, 3 minutes. Now, if we had another big deerzilla, that would be a serious surprise, or a non-typical of some sort. But I highly doubt that. I think we've gotten the cherry off the top of today's pie, that's for sure. We'll see if we can slip up to the curve over here and get a look down there, see what we see. sure we can go in. You know, I was thinking, Necros, what I might actually do is I might fire up Freeman Guerrilla Warfare so you can get an idea of what that game is like. Since you're a mountain blade head like me, I think it's something that you might actually enjoy. Alright, now that we're back into the camouflage. There he is again. He's right down the hill there somewhere. See if we can get eyes on him. Where are you, bud? Sounded like he was just right down there. Yeah, we got the rain. I can actually come up from my crouch here. Where the heck is he, boy? He's got to be just right there. As he started moving up the hill. Oh, he's on the road down there. Alright, well, let's ease forward, see if we can get eyes on him. I'd sure be tickled if it was another great big old buck. He's certainly being elusive. Much closer, he's going to spook. Welcome to the struggle bus, man. I'm having just a heck of a time getting eyes on this guy. There he is. Yeah, he's pretty average. He's not non-typical or anything. So we'll leave him be. I'm sure that was him. I'm gonna kind of work my way up to Grizzly Central and see if we might be able to pull an exceptional Grizz. Yeah, that was definitely him. Just a little bit farther here, we're gonna turn right and we're going to cut up over the hill so we descend down on that pond from above, see if there's any animals around it. So we got some elk that came through here. So where we're headed is we're now going to cut across and we're going to descend down onto the pond from up the uphill side, see if there's anything down there. Like I say, the biggest elk I've taken on the map I took right on the hillside here. It's a really, really high, really, really steep hill right there. And I've got a single man stand there. But then we're gonna check for grizzly in here and say we got that beautiful 185 mule deer today. Picked up a nice elk or two, but I still haven't been charged by a grizzly. And that's kind of my end goal here, is find a grizz. And all right, so that's that fellow we just passed back there. Find a grizzly and aggravate him enough to charge me so I can take him with the bow while he's charging, because that's my particular thrill pill. So that buck has been ranging this area all over back here. This is his track up here, this far up from where we originally picked up his track. He wasn't a bad looking buck. It's just after taking that 185, it's like the rest of them pale by comparison. That's a different buck. No, that's him again. He is all over the place back there. He's up the hill, he's down the hill, he's across the road, he's back again. He's a very mobile critter, that's for sure. But yeah, you know, I'm feeling like I've still got some streaming left in me. Been going, I don't know, about 2.5 hours, something in that neighborhood, and I feel like I could still spend some time streaming yet. You can just make out that real tall hillside straight out ahead of us that I was talking about. We're just gonna ease up, get a look down at the water. Sometimes there'll be wolves running around on the shore, elk on that hillside, mule deer in this area, of course. But as I said, kind of my end goal for today's hunt is to see if I can get charged with a grizzly. So you are hereby charged with a severe case of grizzly. You have the right to shoot it in the face. If you do not accept that right, it will eat you. And nobody's home. All right. Now we're just gonna stand right up. Walk right up here. Let me show you guys the location on this stand, but yeah, it's a little late in the morning for mule deer right over here. They tend to stick to the water early, wander into the open stuff mid-morning, and then go into the woods a little bit later in the morning like this. But there's this one lone birch, and if you like to hunt bow, this is actually a really nice spot to set up for a bow hunt. Put your stand right up there in that birch, and then right down here on the shoreline, there are some rocks that are almost precisely 20 meters, which is an ideal bow shot. So I'll usually set my patch here and then go hop the tree. But right off that real steep hillside there, that's where I took the biggest Rocky Mountain elk I've taken so far on this map. I've also taken a couple of real nice mule deer out of here. But just north of us now, north and east, is Grizzly Central. So I'm hoping that we're going to be able to get on up here and spot a grizz, aggravate it, and get charged. We'll get back to a crouch here once we get up to top of the hill. But I keep a tent in this area just because this is a spot I hunt a lot. And we're good for scent suppression. But when we get up on the lake here, on this side of the lake, heading east, it's very good for grizzly. There's usually a number of grizzly wandering down in that area someplace. On the other side of the lake, you've got the mountainside going up, and there's usually elk up on the hillsides. You'll occasionally have bighorn sheep that'll wander down that far. And of course, grizz. But this late in the morning, our odds aren't so hot. And it's just as simple as that. Once you push past 10 a.m., things tend to slow down quite a bit over here, but it just doesn't feel like a complete hunt to me unless I've come up here and checked the site out. So. Down here we got a little bridge that goes across to the other side. I'm just going to push up this way a little bit, see if we hear any grizzly. See if we spot any grizz tracks. So if we find a good track, I'll get on that track. We'll see if we can push them. Yeah, mighty quiet. picking up any tracks. No signs of life at all. So we'll cross the bridge, check the back side, but I think unless we actually go up onto the hillside and look for tracks, pick up a track and track an animal, we're probably not going to get any action over here. Awful late in the morning for it. Oh, rain is done. Time to get back to a crouch. You can see we're about 150 meters out from the primary ridge line. And we'll get elk along that ridge line. We'll get bear. Very seldom see any mule deer up there. They tend to keep down to the lower elevations, but farther down that way, sometimes we will see bighorn. And if you're really looking for some silliness, you can start up the mountain here and work your way up towards the narrow gauge. And it's a little bit rough going, but you can run into some pretty interesting animals on the way. But down there on that far end, that's where sometimes we'll see bighorn. If I'm hunting bighorn, normally I'll go up to the narrow gauge railway up there. I've got a tent that's right up on the railroad, right in front of one of the tunnels, and I'll go through the tunnel and come out the other side of the tunnel that I'm set up. Not bad for bighorn up there, especially early in the morning. Just get across the bridge here. There we go. But that's real good elk territory right up in there. A lot of times if you're just willing to make your way up there, you can pick up a track. And they'll follow the ridge line all the way down to the little valley that's down on the other end. But I'm not holding out a lot of hope. I say awful late in the morning. If we get a look at the map here, and narrow gauge railroad runs up through here. You can see I got a tent here. That's where the narrow gauge is running all the way along like that. And up around and over. Which, to me, it's kind of cool that they put in the narrow gauge railway, because the Silverton narrow gauge is a really important part of Rocky Mountain life. Coming up out of Durango and running the mountains. And it does run up through Wolf Creek Pass, which is the area I used to prefer to hunt. And spent a lot of time up walking the narrow gauge. But it was one of those things. You see the smoke off in the distance and they'd start kicking the whistle. And one of the few trains that still kind of gives an old impression, you know. Yeah, I think we're about done. I think I will head up the hillside here, just see what tracks are looking like up here. But it's just so very quiet over on this end right now. Normally we'll get at least a little bit of elk activity up the hill here. We'll hear them, or you know, see them moving across the ridge line, and there's not even any of that going on. So we'll head up, but I got a feeling we're about done. Hell of a hunt, though. I'm real pleased with that 185 muley that we picked up. Been wanting to get a decent muley for my lodge for a long time. And didn't get charged by a grizzly, but at least managed to take one. Yeah, there are just no tracks up here at all. And work my usual little route along here and see, but it's not looking too promising. I'd say they like to walk the ridge line up here. So if they've been around, that's where we'll find the tracks. And you will occasionally run into ptarmigan up here as well. Ooh, all right, a little bit different angle here. There we go. And not a track to be seen. Well, we'll take her just a little bit farther, but I think we're about to call it a hunt. It was a good hunt. So I'm feeling like I got a little bit of streaming left in me yet. Just trying to decide what to stream. I might do a little Freeman guerrilla warfare. See, show people what that's like. Wow, yeah, there's just not a track to be seen. Is usually, if nothing else, you can, you know, find a track up on this end and follow it up. We're starting to get up in the elevations now where we can run into Bighorn, and I wouldn't be absolutely heartbroken if I happen to look across the valley and see a Bighorn hanging out. Yeah, nada. Wow. I don't think I've ever come up here and not run into at least one track. Now it's become almost a matter of principle. Well, I see we've got at least a few people watching. Yeah, I'll tell you, I end up buying new drill bits about every other week because I just can't keep track of them anymore. Well, let's take a knee here for a second, see where we are. There is a small part of my person that thinks that I should push straight north from here, up through here, and see if maybe, just maybe, we might be able to spot a bighorn. It's like we've come this far, and there's nothing else happening here. There's no other tracks whatsoever. And I'm just about to the ridge line that'll allow us to push up into there. So what the heck, we'll give her a few more minutes, go a little bit farther, turn north, and see if maybe we can spot a bighorn. But we should be able to work the ridge line now. I'd say normally if I was specifically going after bighorn, I'd go to my tent up on the narrow gauge, but I don't think I have enough camping supplies to jump to that tent from here. Suppose I could see, but I think it'd take two, and I think I've only got one on me. Let's see. Don't have enough supplies, yep. Damn. And if I jump to my tent from here to grab supplies, well then we got 30 minutes to wait before I can jump again, so. There we finally got somebody. Where's the... Well, he's on the ridge line. Right about there. Awful loud tromping through here. Could get a little bit squirrely here too, is in terms of any moment now we could just casually start sliding down the hill. Starting to wonder if we were ever going to see any animals up here. Move up a little bit higher and then cut east. The ground will be a little more stable and we'll have a little more cover. Get some benefit from our camouflage. No sign of him. Sticking out like a sore thumb here. Oh, there he is right down the hill. Yeah, he's fair to middling. Should be him anyway. Yep. Yeah, Zoe, I have done Call of the Wild. I've got all the DLCs and all that stuff. I just don't care for it as much as Classic. Classic is a much more immersive, realistic hunting experience to me, and for me, that's a big part of it. Is it's the little things in Call of the Wild that really chap my behind. Like the way your character is always, looking at his rifle and cleaning off his cell phone, and you're always getting interrupted by NPCs to tell you about some silly little mission. And yeah, and that's just it. I find it very arcadey. And I know that there are lots of people who enjoy climbing on the struggle bus, but when I want to hunt, I want to hunt. I don't want to have to go through that process, you know. I want to just be able to pick my weapon of choice, go out and hunt. So that elk we saw, he was all right. He was fair to middling, but I think we're going to work our way up. See if just by chance we might be able to bump into a bighorn up here. Yeah, well, and I understand they're trying to create an experience for people who aren't hunters to kind of, go through that path of education and development as a hunter, and I can respect that. But the fact that, the animals pretty much all look the same. So if you find an animal of a particular species, a particular sex, and a particular class, it's going to look just like any other one that meets that measurement. Though we do finally have some true rack stuff going on, so that's helped that some. I really do like the Savannah map. I love the Africa map. I will admit that having spent time in South Africa and some time in Kenya, that they did a really fantastic job of capturing the feeling of the locale. Get kind of aggravated by the behavior of the wolves in the Pacific maps and stuff, because they're all hyper aggressive and stuff, and that's not the way wolves are. But the pace we're moving right now at a crouch is a good pace. It's fast enough that you can make some progress. It's slow enough that you feel like you're sneaking. But I think that's my biggest aggravation in Call of the Wild, is how slow we move. If you move with any kind of real pace, you scare off everything in the county. All right, well, we're finally getting up to the elevations where we might find bighorn. And it says, too bad I don't have the camping supplies on me, or we just jumped to my tent on the narrow gauge. And what I could do? What I could do is I could start a fresh map, and we could go up to the narrow gauge. Let's do that. Let's do that. We'll start off at 5 a.m. again, and we'll start a fresh game. We'll start a fresh one, and we'll make the hop up to my camp up there, and we'll see if we can bag a bighorn. Make that our last hunt of today. And like I said, I feel like I've got some more time streaming left in me, and not sure what we'll play. And of course, I'm a big fan of Empyrean Galactic Survival, Elite Dangerous, X4 Foundations. I like the space games a lot. Fishing Planet and some of the other fishing games. Oh, I'd love to do some VR in Classic. All right, we'll have to grab some camping supplies, and we'll jump to my tent up on the narrow gauge, and we'll see if we can manage to pick up a bighorn. Should be just about there. But yeah, me and Necromancer were talking about that earlier, that we'd both really like to get into VR. All right, well, let's get on in here. Equipment. Let's grab some camping supplies. Got way too many camping supplies. Gonna have to paint myself up again. Get on my war paint. Everything else should be fine. We got plenty of scent suppressor. Looking good for arrows. Looking good for ammo. Yeah, well, the Fisher Online, absolutely. So I used to be part of the support team for Russian Fishing 4, and my YouTube channel used to be almost exclusively the Hunter and Fishing Planet, and I'm no longer playing Russian Fishing 4. I don't agree with their business practices and stuff. I can't really talk about it because then I'll be blamed for talking shit about a company, and that of course can get me knocked off of Twitch. So, but all right, let's jump up to the narrow gauge here. Oh, we got some wolves up here. All right, well, let's get loaded. Using my standard setup, 454 Nosler for close encounters with bears. If we have one, my lever action 30-06, and of course my recurve. But the Fisher Online, the Fisherman Fishing Planet, as well as Fishing Planet, atomic fishing can actually be a lot of fun. Fishing in a post-apocalyptic world, and definitely enjoy my fishing games. Real life hunter, fisherman, trapper. Spent many years as a hunting guide, and after my health went to hell, this is my way to get my dose of this stuff. We're gonna make our way over to the tunnel here. Sometimes there'll be animals right at the tunnel, but it's awful foggy. Normally I'd actually start a little bit. Yeah, the stream. What happened is my cat was sleeping on the windowsill and rolled off of the windowsill in her sleep and landed on top of my Wi-Fi box and unplugged me. But well, all right. Well, I'll tell the story again. It's a good story. So my father was stationed in Nome, Alaska. He was in the Air Force, and him and his best friend Goose used to, when they got their weekend passes, they'd go up and hunt in the tundra. And they started off on their weekend hunting trip, and like usual, my dad was always a bit of a joker. And so what he did is, unbeknownst to Goose, he filled up Goose's backpack with a bunch of big old rocks. So by the time they got where they were going, Goose was pretty wiped out. Couldn't figure out why. Oh, we got something going on here. But they finally made their way in, and they hunted for about a day and a half, and a storm came in, and it was sleeting, and it was getting really bad, and they needed to find something to burn, get a fire going, because they were going to start suffering from hypothermia. So they split up to go in and search to see if they could find something they could burn. Right straight out ahead of us, looky there. And it is a male. And as they were wandering trying to find something to burn, That's when my dad ran into the grizzly. Well, there we go. That was sure easy enough. He's a nice one, too. And my dad had walked into this little horseshoe-shaped valley to see if he could find anything, because out there in the tundra there isn't a lot to burn. And he saw a grizzly bear. It was down at the end of the horseshoe, and it was going across the slope. And the wind was coming from the direction of the bear, so my dad was going to ease out of the valley. And just as he was about to start easing back out of that valley, the wind shifted. And he said that grizzly stopped dead in its tracks. It turned, it looked down, it saw my dad, and it just come right at him. So it was coming downhill. So it was coming fast, and my dad had his lever action, and he dropped down to one knee, and he threw up the rifle. And when he said when his scope landed on that grizzly, that it was already so close that all he could see was hair. He had no idea where on the animal he was, so he pulled the trigger, and the round hit the grizzly bear in the front right shoulder, and the bear tumbled, and the bear got up and started coming towards my dad again, and it would manage to take 1 or 2 steps, and then its shoulder would give out and it would collapse again, and it would get up again and start coming towards my dad. And my dad put a second round in him and finished him off. And the way the law worked at that time, if you had an encounter with a grizzly bear and you had to take its life, you were supposed to skin the grizzly bear and bring its skin out so that they could examine it for bullet wounds and stuff. And then what they'd do within a matter of a couple days is they'd go into the site, they'd try to locate the site and investigate it to make sure it was a matter of self-defense. And so they, Goose heard the shots, and he found his way to my dad. That's not a bad-looking ram. And they skinned out that grizzly, and they packed it up and continued looking for firewood. They eventually found one lone kind of dead small tree out in the middle of everything, and they took that tree down. They built a fire, and they actually turned that grizzly bear skin inside out, wrapped themselves up in it, and got warm, got dry, and packed their way out. Well, when the DNR went in a day or two later and checked the site, they said that they pasted off from where my dad's knee print was in the mud to where the tip of the grizzly bear's nose was, and it was 3.5 paces. So that's how close that bear got to getting my old man. And I've seen the pictures of him with that grizzly. But all right, well, let's see what we got here. Yeah, that was a good shot, right square through both lungs. And he's 150, which is not bad. Not bad at all. All right, well, I got my ram and completed a mission I didn't even know I had. But yeah, my dad, he was just one of them guys who, it was always something. One winter, we lived up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and one winter he got run over by a whitetail. He was walking along a snowmobile trail, and it went up to a real sharp hilltop, and he was walking up, and a whitetail came right up over the top of the hill and come down and planted one of its front hooves right in the center of my dad's chest, knocked him flat, and stepped on him. He had a hoof-shaped bruise on his chest. He was working at a sawmill. He cut off the tips of 3 of his fingers. Fell out of a tree one time bow hunting, put an arrow through his forearm. Took a chainsaw that bucked off of a tree he was cutting down. Took the chainsaw right square into his shin. My old man, he was always cutting something off. But all right, well, let's get this trophy shot here. Not not a bad one. 100, 150. I honestly don't even know what they score because I almost never come up and hunt them. Normally, the only time I come up and hunt them is if I've, brought somebody on a hunt and they want to go for the bighorns. Then I'll come on up here. It's why I've got a tent up here. But yeah, my pa, he forgot more about hunting and fishing and trapping than most people learn in their lifetime, and he taught me. And there we go. I think that's looking pretty good right there in the morning fog. And I think I'm going to sell him. I've got a chance for 24 hours to taxidermy him if I find out he's better than what I got in the lodge. Yeah. My in-game name is Kachi, and that's out of respect to my father. His nickname was Kachi, and when he was real young, his little sister, my Aunt Janie, couldn't say Charlie. She always said Kachi. Well, Kachi is Polish slang for a sneaky old crow, and my Polish grandpa, he got a kick out of it, and so it kind of stuck. But that's why my in-game name is Kachi. But all right, well, we got our bighorn, by golly, and I just need to decide what to stream next here. So what kind of games do you play, Zoe? I know what Necromancer plays, but what kind of stuff do you play? Want to make sure I find something that's interesting for people. Hunting, fishing, and driving. I do a lot of space games, do a lot of hunting and fishing games, a lot of survival crafting stuff as well. 7 Days to Die and Scum, DayZ, that kind of stuff. Well, let's see. I kind of did make a promise to Necros that I would show him a game I've been playing called Freeman Guerrilla Warfare. So I'll tell you what, I think I am going to fire up Freeman just, Empyrean Galactic Survival, when it first came out, I got it. I played about 15 minutes of it and I got a refund. It had so little content. It was confusing as hell. And I really didn't enjoy it. I kept an eye on it, and about a year later, I picked it back up again and installed it, and I've put in 4,000 hours. But all right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the stream here. I'm going to load up Freeman Guerrilla Warfare, and I will be right back.